and you just watched Red Sun, as we can see by the. There we go. Oh, look at that! I timed it right into that. That was pretty good. So he talked me into watching it. I gave it a watch last night, and we decided we were gonna put our heads together and come up with how they do. Why are we watching cartoons?
So the reason why I want to bring this in is because first, when we had the DCEU and we had the Snyderverse going on, there you had DC animated as well, and DC animated studios slapped. It was the best thing DC was putting on compared to their live action stuff. Their live action seemed disjointed at times, rushed in other times. Like just the way they try to build, they wanted that big team movie too quickly, unlike their competitor who did in 14 movies before they had the big team up movie.
Right.
So, but the thing is with their animated, I think they could do a lot more, and I think they had better writing, even though that their Justice League movie is almost beat for beat the exact same movie as the live action Snyderverse one with the botses, and the same way they made Diana a little bit stupid. I will admit that they did make Diana a little stupid because she's not used to American culture, and she didn't know what ice cream was and stuff like that.
Water status.
Yeah, but. And the only other major difference is that they had a lantern, and there was no lantern in Snyderverse.
Only in that cutscene of the giant battle against Darkseid, like one of them gets defeated and the ring flies off, and in like the prologue. Yeah, no character though.
But this one has Hal Jordan in it. Hal Jordan's lantern. So, and Shazam. Sorry, Shazam was in it as well.
Was he? Oh yeah, that's right, he was.
Yep.
I remember that. That's right.
So. I was flipping through. Wife was out of town. I had to fold laundry. So I'm like, let's put on a movie while I do this. And I saw this Red Sun thing on HBO Max. So I was like, well, okay, let's put this on. Let's see what this is. So I watched it, and I'm like, it's pretty good. Like, it's living up to DC animated standards. So I'm like, maybe we should compare their animated studio to their live action studio. Now, with the honor of Superman coming out next month, actually less than a month from now, it will be out. I thought this would be a good jump in to watch Superman Red Sun and also compare the animated studio to their live action studio when it comes to story and execution.
That's not a bad premise for a project series, for sure. I'm surprised you did, or maybe you did and you didn't mention it. You knew this was based on a graphic novel, right? You could literally
yeah. All of their animated movies are based off of graphic novels or long story arcs. Like the new DCU is going to be based off of Gods and Monsters story arc through the comic book. So
Red Sun, I think, was written in like 2020, so it's not old. It's not a super old trade that you guys could go pick up. I remember hearing about it back then, and politically in 2020, the world was in a very different place. The notion of what if Superman's ship crash landed in Moscow in the 50s instead of the States? That really didn't jive with me back then. But when you put time and sensitivity, between touchy subjects and politics, it becomes a little bit more stomachable, and then it becomes an interesting thing. Like, what if I landed anywhere except America? Like, what if I landed in Imperial China? What if I landed in South America somewhere in a charged political situation somewhere else? So it makes for an interesting story. I'll say this right off the bat: my favorite thing about Red Sun that we just watched is that it was only 90 minutes, give or take. It was nice and tight. It just moved. It told its story. It didn't overstay its welcome. That was it. So advantage DC animation right away.
Yep, compared to like a 2.5 to 3 hour long superhero movie.
Dude, this would have been 2-hour movies, part one, especially if Snyder was in on this. It'd have been part one, part two, intermission. Oh my God.
And also, like Schneider, I think he really didn't like Superman. Like, he wanted to make Batman. That's who he wanted to make.
Desperately wanted to make Batman.
Yeah.
Desperately wanted to make Batman.
And that's what the whole thing with, what was that, Dawn of Justice?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there were no colors in the movie at all, and everything looked like Gotham at night, even during the day, even when it wasn't raining. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, no, but I love that it didn't take 2.5 hours to tell its story here. And if I'm going to give them credit for that, almost feel like I can't mention that I wanted a little bit more depth out of a couple of characters. But you know what? Take it from, an hour and a half to an hour 45. You give me 4 or 5 more total scenes that add up to 15 minutes so you can make Diana not kind of obnoxious, because I thought that character, Wonder Woman, was kind of an obnoxious character in this movie. I didn't like how they kind of portrayed her. I got what they were going for with the whole world of men, but literally that sentence came out of her mouth like 10 times.
Yeah, pretty much every scene she was in.
Right. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. She's your unsteady ally at the beginning, and then she turns her back on, like, okay, whatever.
Because she turns her back on all men.
Again, and I'm like, okay, you said it. Maybe a couple more scenes between Russian Superman and Lex might have been kind of cool to pit it off as more of like that long-term global battle. Because that's something I didn't know about Red Sun, is that they start the movie off and you get about a third of the way through, maybe even half, and then they start doing little time jumps to kind of push it through all the various conflict points between the States and Russia over the years, which I thought was cool. I wasn't expecting that, so I liked that. What did you think of the time jumps?
No, I thought it fit to the story quite well. It was telling the whole Cold War scenario, but with Superman on the other side of it.
Right. I like that we got to see a bunch of that, so I thought that worked well. And you know what I also noticed too, and I think you'll probably appreciate and agree, because I've been a big fan of doing this for a while now. I've mentioned it because I'm going through the movie. I'm hitting the up button, on the remote to see the timeline at the bottom to see like how many minutes I'm into a movie. This movie basically followed like the beat sheet to like the letter, to like a horror movie beat sheet. Something interesting happened every 10 to 12 minutes. Mark this chapter. Mark this. Here's the halfway point. Oh, it's a false victory. Okay, now we're sliding into this. Oh, it's the door into Act 3 in the Dark Knight of the Soul. Like they were all like they just filled in. And you know what? It didn't bother me. I don't care that it was borderline predictable, and I called a couple of things ahead of time without having read the book. I didn't care. It's a superhero movie. Not a fucking Sherlock Holmes mystery. It doesn't need to be.
So the overall premise, is, as we said, is that Superman lands in Russia, and then he becomes Superman. And that's only what he wants to be known as, is Superman.
Right. Agent of the state.
Yep. And he starts off as friends with Stalin, and he's pretty much a propaganda piece, which no one believes in. Lex is working for the U.S. government to figure out if he's real or not. So what they did was make a satellite fall out of space to hit Metropolis, and it's a Russian satellite. And so they deployed Superman to save the people, to show that he is real, and to, a little propaganda there that we have this strong Superman and you don't, so you're going to have to bow to us. But what they didn't expect is that he would meet Lois Lane, who is married to Lex Luthor in this. They have a pretty good love story together, which I thought was good.
It was all right. It was better than I expected, especially when they intro her and she's already giving like echoes of Wonder Woman. And I'm like, oh, dude, like enough. Like, but it wasn't awful. It wasn't off-putting, and it changed over time. Yeah. And they explained why she's with Lex and why he's with her, and it was fairly normal and supportive and like the kind of like relationship goals, as the kids are saying, you know what I mean? So it wasn't as completely mouthpiece as Wonder Woman. I'll give you that.
And then she starts poking holes in his, the Iron Curtain, no outside news, and they only believe the rhetoric of the state, into his philosophy when she shows him pictures, which he does investigate and finds out, which causes him to kill Stalin, which is pretty cool. And he does it in a cool way, but then he takes over and he thinks he's going to do it better, but he falls into the Communist Manifesto.
It's every socialist ever in history, every single one. Oh, you just haven't done it right yet.
Yeah.
This time it'll be different.
It'll be different because I'm in charge of it. I'm smarter. Socialism, communism, which is socialism is just the goal to become communism. So
it's communism with extra steps. I like when he goes to investigate that when Superman goes to investigate the Gulag, he actually shows a bit of emotion. They actually draw him, with a tear when he realizes not only has he been lied to, but like millions of people are literally suffering under this delusion, that Stalin had about how to run things. And I like that this is before I realized that we were gonna have time jumps. He meets young Bruce Wayne, their
Yep.
version, because like the bats are fucking swarming
Flying
behind
behind him. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
snap.
is that young? Is that young
Russian
Russian?
Batman. It's
Yeah,
young
Russian
Dimitri
Batman.
Wayne,
Yeah.
whatever his name was, Dimitri Wayne. I'll call him. I thought that was pretty. I like that. And then of course, as we got all the extra characters that come through that they sprinkle into the story, like Brainiac and Batman and the Lanterns. There a lot of different cool things got utilized along the way to the story, which, like you said, was basically just the Cold War inversion. Like they had the bomb and we did.
Yep, and so we're
And
trying to
built the bomb.
create the superheroes that we need to defeat them. Which I believe if it wasn't for Wonder Woman, I think the Lanterns would have got him.
Oh yeah, 100%. She braceleted and she braceleted him out of the construct
cube.
trap. Yep, because they had him locked up pretty tight. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the Lanterns to show, and dude, they named all three of the main Lanterns. So they had Al Jordan, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner in there.
Yeah, they had all of them.
The credits, yeah. I think they all died though.
No, only one Lantern actually died, and it wasn't even Guy. Guy was the first one to break though.
I thought wasn't he the one that got blasted into the water? After
no, that was one of the unnamed Lanterns.
Oh, not those guys. I was like, it figures it would be Guy. They were never going to have John Stewart break.
No.
The one that got killed. No shot. And they probably weren't going to do Hallie.
So there were points in this where I thought they were trying to get a message across. They had the America First superior man, but it didn't play out that way. It really didn't, no. I don't think. I think it worked out quite well where, America does have some bravado. Yeah. When it comes to the world stage. And you
should. And every world player should.
Yeah. So that played out quite well. I think that overall this movie was really good. Like you said, it's 90 minutes, so you're not losing much of your day to check it out. Yeah. And the story it tells is really good, where you see like Superman realizes that he became the tyrant he was supposed to fight. Yeah. Kind of like Injustice, but he actually had some self-reflection and changed his ways.
Right. I like the ending with Brainiac as well. I wasn't expecting them to kind of... You know how sometimes we say there's like a second ending or a fourth act? It didn't quite hit that level with that amount of added time. It was like, Superman comes over to the States for the final confrontation with Lex Luthor. Brainiac's working for him now because he subdued him earlier in the movie at like the halfway point. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. So Superman has the moment with what's her face? The chick
Lois.
Has the moment with Lois. Like, oh, he's going to realize the error of his ways because the world is a better place now that his regime has been toppled over the last, whatever it was, decade leading into Brainiac talking him into finally launching the final assault. But then, spoiler alert, Brainiac's actually been playing dumb the whole time and allowed himself to be captured so he could provoke this conflict between the two superpowers and then claim the whole world kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I did like that, and I did like seeing Russian Superman have to pair with Lex, and Lex has a name for his power suit. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but that was cool to see. Is that Superman couldn't defeat Brainiac on his own? Lex had to create like that compromising part to his shield.
Yeah, he had to use his tech to help him break Brainiac's tech.
But I'll say this, in the spirit of our channel, like we always say, the quote that I use on my brother all the time about, I want to see superheroes doing superhero shit. When Superman tells Lex to get off Brainiac's ship, he's going to take the skull ship or whatever it is as far into space as he can to save as many people as he can. Like, that's superheroes doing superhero shit. I love that. You got vibes of the Iron Giant completely, because as he's pushing it away, like, he closes his eyes and smiles and like accepts his fate. Like, I'm living up to Svetlana's request that, like, I use my powers to save people. And then he was saving literally everyone, not just Russia. You know what I mean? He was saving
the world.
Yeah,
because what was it? It was like it would have killed everything within a 62,000 miles.
It was in millions of miles. It was crazy. And I love that, because dude, I thought that was probably one of the most heartfelt scenes I've seen in superhero stuff lately, is when Superman carries Svetlana out of the gulag and lets her die with the sun on her face. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Spoiler, we haven't even mentioned the music. The music was really good. It was really touching in that part. Like, that's some Superman stuff, And hopefully we get that in the live action.
Yeah,
I really hope we do. But I feel like we're gonna get 2.5 hours of bloat and not a nice tight story. But that's live action. It's always going to be more bloated, more bloated. I don't know.
Bloatist. I've heard
The
it
most
both
bloated,
ways.
the most bloatedest. I don't know. Like I guess we'll see there because it's like they had a couple like little Easter eggs built in too, like the initial newscast when the American newscaster is talking about the new Soviet super weapon. And he's like, I don't know, he's rumored to have powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Like that's OG Superman intro from like the old black and white TV show. I love that.
Mm.
You know, they did the whole truth, justice, and the American way thing. Like that's kind of. He said truth, justice, and American first. I think he said superior man when he showed up. I think that's what he said. I thought he was turning into Bizarro.
I thought so too when they kept pushing more power into him.
I thought they had him talking like him too. They had him talking backwards and kind of defective and everything, but they didn't ever name him that. They just kept calling him the creature.
Yeah,
that was cold-blooded shit, Lex. That was cold-blooded.
But the thing is, like, Lex also didn't take the opportunity to become bad. Like, after Superman was defeated, he resigned as president. He's like, I did what I was set out to do. And it was like, and you're going to have the best person to run this. And it was Jimmy Olsen, who was his vice president. And he's taken over as president.
Who was his former, like, congressional security Secret Service guard in the beginning.
Who was also, like, his assistant at the very beginning.
Right. Like I'm with that because I'm with you, dude. I was sitting there like when he did the resignation, I thought we were gonna get the Dr. Evil. Like, I got other things I have to do. Like I thought we were getting that moment. Like, nah. Like the movie ends on like a bunch of American flags and people at the Capitol, at the White House, wherever they were, and like everybody's like, yay! And then we got Superman in Clark Kent gear, looking on from the crowd with the glasses. That was cool.
Yeah,
that was a nice little way to go out.
Yeah, and then like he promised Lois the vacation she's always wanted because he kind of always neglected her to fight this fight with Russia. Yeah.
Well, it was all right.
I
think it was okay. It wasn't as hokey as I was afraid it was going to be. It wasn't as preachy either way as it was going to be. It was an interesting vehicle to use to put communism versus capitalism. And every time a communist wants to tell me the oppression of capitalism, I'm like, just remember you made this in a capitalist society, Slick. That's all you need to know.
Yep. And it wasn't that. It was a straight Superman story. It was really well done to not be preachy or like you got to lean to my side or my politics. It was just a good movie.
I just want to see both sides. Sides presented, not comically. Let me ask you this though about because we didn't mention him. What about grown-up anarcho-terrorist Batman? What about that?
that was a little different. That guy was a little different. He was a little strung out.
Well, raised in a gulag, and he starts beating the crap out of Superman because they get him in the red lights, and Superman's like, "Bro, I saved all of you. What the fuck?" He got his ass kicked, dude. That was a savage ass kicking, dude.
Yeah. You feel pain? Get used to it.
But let me ask you this, right? As a guy that's had some physical training, right? Superman's been running shit as Superman and brawling on things that do require his strength level to be utilized and taxed, like Brainiac, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think just because he's suddenly not super strong means regular human Batman can thrash him like that? I'm guessing no.
I think they were going off of how he got thrashed in the diner when he gave up his powers in Superman 2.
See, but like, yeah, I guess so. I guess maybe that would.
I mean, he caught an airplane.
He did. But that hillbilly truck driver at the diner in Superman 2, he did embarrass Clark Kent, who's like 6'4", 250, even if he's not Superman. I don't know. A little weird. You think those instincts? So see, I always think like if you lose the strength and the instinct is still there, you're still dangerous on some level. It's how half of Jason Statham's movies work now. 58 years old, but in the 80s I was Delta. Okay, I wouldn't mess with you. Like, I don't know.
I'm just a working man.
I'm just a beekeeper. I'm gonna do that again.
I keep the bees.
I keep the bees and the peace by any means necessary in this voice. And I thought it was good. So I think it would be interesting to watch a couple more of these and maybe pick an older one like Mask of the Phantasm. I haven't seen that in ages. I'd love to watch that. And then pick a new one from like the last couple of years because I've heard that DC animation has fallen off in terms of storytelling. I've heard it's not as good as maybe we've been led to believe through the 20 years or so. But there's a lot of stuff on HBO Max, and I was surprised how many
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
a lot more than I
I've
knew.
watched a few of them. I did like their Flashpoint. Their Flashpoint was solid, stuck
I
to the
think I've
real
seen that.
story.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah,
I mentioned their Justice League already.
yeah.
And then Batman kills the Justice League. They have
I
that one
didn't
on there. That
I
one's
didn't
pretty
watch
good.
that one. I watched. Is it Justice League Dark? I think they have something like Dark Justice League or something.
Yeah, that's the one where they have
Constantine, right?
Constantine
Yeah.
and them. Yeah.
And I think that's a little older. I think I saw that a little while ago too. For
But see,
sure.
this is the thing I'm hoping for is that they take a beat from the storytelling that's in their animated movies and move it to their live action. Because I don't see why there's such a drop off, other than director and writer is the only obvious thing
answered
that
your
that
question.
could be. But it's like, oh, we know how to tell a story, but we're gonna let this guy do whatever he wants because, well, money, and it doesn't communicate. It doesn't set a good focal point for your studio. Like, what if DreamWorks movies all suck, but they banged in animation? It's like, which was funny, is that was created by a former Disney guy, built
Of
DreamWorks.
course. Right. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Like it's you'd think it should be easy to get that same output in live action, but I think you answered your own question perfectly. There's more. I think there's probably a lot more ego that goes into the live action stuff. Because Jason Isaacs, who voiced Russian Superman, probably not a diva to work with for voice acting. Diedrich Bader, who they've worked with before as Batman for 2 decades, I think he voiced Lex in this one, ironically, if I remember the credits right. That dude just shows up and does his job because he's worked for them before. So I don't know.
It's just,
I guess we'll wait and see.
it's an interesting concept to kind of dig into. Is like, why does their animation not do as well as their studio? And then when you get to Marvel, it's the exact opposite. They're animated as when they went into the Marvel Disney universe, their animation was just garbage.
Yep.
But their movies were banging. So like, what is the disconnect here? Why can't they put out good animation as well as good live action?
It shouldn't have to be an either or, should it?
And I mean, they work for Disney. They made their living on animated movies and TV shows.
It's funny you just said the word animated because it reminded me of something I wanted to add in. I knew right off the bat I was gonna like more or less. I mean, I still had to judge for the story, but I was already on board to watch Red Sun because it's old school animation. It's just 2D drawing. There's no rendering. There's no. It's not Toy Story, and I like Toy Story, but Toy Story has mastercraft level storytelling. So even if the art style is not something I fully enjoy, it's still up here. Like Shrek, it's up here. You know what I mean? But the minute I saw regular cartoon shit on my TV, dude, I slouched a little bit deeper into the couch, got a little bit more comfortable, and was like, okay, it's an hour and a half. It's a cartoon movie, 2D. Okay, sold.
Like, I went back and saw that their abomination they call DuckTales now, and it's like, why did animation get worse over the years?
And that style is everywhere, dude. It's like that's the stuff that they redid Ninja Turtles into. And it's like a Temu version of like Spider-Verse, which I like. I like that. But it doesn't need to be everything all the time. That's the problem. Like you said, man, like it's why everything looked like Steven Universe for a while. Like it's like the Caltech style they call it. Like, because one thing hit it big, every other studio on earth is like, we gotta have that shit. And I'm like, oh dude, I don't need Spidey and Friends to look like Steven Universe. Or I picked your cartoon, I was just picking random.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It looks bad. Their animation's gotten worse from the 90s.
Yeah, it looks like it's like 15 frames a second or something. Like
it's like they went back to Steamboat Willie to make these cartoons.
Yeah, and now we're copyright. All right, no, we're not. Public domain.
Public domain. Steamboat Willie is public domain now.
I think we're good, so I can whistle those first 4 notes, and we're not going to get sued.
That's right.
Or whatever. Nice.
And anything that we use is fair use under the Fair Use Act, where we will not be sued. We'll use it in review status only, and will not.
Dude, we should actually get that as an effect. Just scream it vertically like a crawl. Like a Star Wars crawl. That'd be fun.
Yeah, like the legal thing after like every like medicine commercial.
Yep. Call your doctor. Exactly. It's sweet. And then we can throw in the whole, this is not a legal financial advice giving channel.
This is for entertainment purpose only.
I got you, dude. I got you.
All right. So, everybody, that pretty much wraps up our review and recap of Superman Red Sun. This is something new we're doing on the channel. This is the kickoff of our new videos that we're trying to put out, where we're doing a little bit more reviews. We have our retro watches coming up. I believe the first one on deck will be the Lost Boys from the great year of 1987. So,
banger year.
Yeah, keep your eyes out for that, as well as we're going to be coming back with best and worst of as well. We're going to start adding to that playlist a little bit. So keep your eyes out. We got some new stuff on the horizon. We're just trying to get our wheels going after 2 straight months of reviewing like 4 shows. So we're just trying to get back into the groove of things.
Ironheart.
But also, let us know what your favorite DC animated movie is and how you think it compares down in the comments. But with that said, I'm going to get us out of here and tell you, well, see ya.